Welcome to Global Insiders Podcast. I am Ryan, the peripatetic one, bringing you information about opportunities relating to jobs, traveling, and any information that can elevate you to your rightful place in this thing called life. You can find more information and how to methods on globalinsidersgroup.com. That is insiders with an S. And here is today's show. Hello, insiders. When you forget about your circumstances and follow your dreams, life will take you to interesting places. My guest today will talk to us about some of the places he has seen because of his aspirations. Please introduce yourself to the insiders.
Yes, hello, Global Insiders. My name is Askhari Coor. I am an undergrad graduate from American University in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I am...
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, and I have plans to be in the Foreign Service.
Okay, awesome. So, where are you now?
Currently, I'm in Sendai, Japan.
Okay, awesome. You're in Japan. So, I would like to know about your journey because I find it very interesting that you moved from the States to Japan. So, for example, what were you like as a 10-year-old, as a kid?
As a kid, so I want to say that I've had a very multicultural upbringing, and I think that as a kid, I grew up in Seattle, Washington.
Ah, okay.
And Seattle, Washington is located in the northwest of the United States. And
yes, it's actually like a hub for like even technology, right? Like Microsoft is there, I
huge
think.
Technology.
So, yeah. So definitely a lot of foreigners moving there for work and so forth. Okay, I see that.
So that's my hometown. I grew up there. I was raised by my mother, who is actually an immigrant from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And my father's African American. And so I want to say like my whole upbringing as like a child growing up in Seattle, Seattle, so basically it has a lot of diversity when it comes to like East Asian cultures because it's on the West Coast. That's like a lot of, it's easy access to come from Asia.
Yeah, from the East.
Yeah, from the East. But I'm South. My mother is from Sri Lanka, so it's like Southeast Asia. And so there wasn't, at the time growing up, there wasn't that strong of a community over there. So my whole upbringing was basically trying to understand myself as like a Black American, but balancing and juggling a multicultural background.
Oh, okay. I mean, how was that for you though? Like, did you read a lot? Was it like through TV? How did you try to go about that self-discovery? Because I think that's very important for all of us.
It was just through, basically my self-discovery had been through connecting with individuals like and unalike from mine at the same time and just trying to travel as much as possible.
Okay.
Basically, economically growing up, it was very challenging for my family.
Yes.
And so I could relate to a lot of people who came from similar backgrounds in that sense. And it was also, it helped me a lot too by just being able to just travel. And my mom, I think being from Sri Lanka, really pushed that on myself and my brothers, the importance of getting outside of your comfort zone.
Okay.
And just being able to, because like you're able to meet different people who can contribute to your perspective and who you are.
Okay, but I mean, kids can be brutal though, like high school. How was that for you? Because kids can be brutal.
honestly though, I think middle school was worse for me because in middle school I went to like it was like pretty much predominantly all African American and Mexican middle school.
Yes.
So like over there on the West Coast, you have like a lot of Mexicans. And especially Mexican immigrants live over there in like California, Oregon, Seattle, or like Washington State. And so like that's, for example, in Seattle growing up, that was kind of normal. It was normal to see African Americans. It was normal to see Mexicans. It was normal to see like people from like China or like Filipino, but it wasn't normal to see Sri Lankan.
Yes.
And so like it was different. It was difficult in middle school because it was kind of like me trying to like say like, look, like my dad's African American, so like I'm also like I could like fit in, but at the same time I was kind of like an outcast.
I understand because they don't know that, different. Just different, and they didn't know how to deal with that. But for me, right, I've never really had to deal with that, so I'm assuming that it's hard to tell the difference. I'm thinking, but you know, like how can they even tell the difference? You know, So that's kind of crazy. But in terms of like studying, though, were you like a focused student? Were you like an athlete?
To be honest with you, I got in this program called the Rainer Scholars Program when I was in middle school. So it's like a very rigorous and like advanced program to basically help students from underprivileged backgrounds with college acceptance and to navigate through their studies.
Okay.
And to land like and to get themselves into the workforce. And so like that really helped me out. So as I want to say like in like middle school, high school, like I was basically known as the kid who had a lot of potential, but I didn't apply myself, honestly.
Okay.
And it was because at that time I had a lot of stuff I was going through at home with like family and family circumstances mostly.
Okay.
That kind of made it difficult to study, do my best.
Yeah. To focus, like you just weren't focusing on just school.
Right.
You had other things to think about, life issues to think about.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, high school, you're finished with high school. What's next for you? Or what was next for you?
Yeah, so I actually got into a school in Florida. So basically, my grades weren't the best in high school, to be completely honest. But I was able to get accepted into some school in Florida. I was very fortunate for that.
Yes.
And so I went there for a year. And at the same time, that's where I really realized, too, that I'm the type of person that succeeds and does better in an environment that when the bar is raised, because it allows me to raise the bar for myself.
Yes. You want that challenge. That challenge gives you that push.
Yeah, and so when I was in Florida, I was like, you know what? I think that it would be a better decision for me to switch to a more like challenging school. So I did very well in that first year, and I was able to transfer out. And I went to D.C. because my brother, who's a year and a half younger than me, he was actually going to be starting his first year in D.C. in a university over there. And so I thought it would make sense because I would be close to him as well. So.
Okay, nice. What did you study? What did you study at university?
Yeah, so when I was in university, I actually studied Justice, Law, and Society.
Okay.
Through the School of Public Affairs.
Nice. And did you go overseas during that period?
Yeah, I did. So I did an exchange program in Sweden. So actually tying back to like my multicultural upbringing and just understanding myself as an American is my great-grandparents on my father's side were actually from Sweden.
Oh, really? From your dad's side?
Yeah, so I have a little Swedish in me too. So.
If you could explain that, I'd like to hear that a little bit, because
yeah. So I was a little bit curious to understand that side of me too.
Yes,
and just get to know like a little bit about that culture. I like. Coming from Seattle, like I really like nature and beautiful places, and I heard a lot of good things about Sweden and the nature and scenery, and I just wanted to see it from my eyes. And it was different too than what a lot of other students at my university were going to do their exchange programs for. Like people would usually go to like Spain or France or like London to do it, but I was like, no, I want to kind of go a little bit more off the grid. I want to go to like Sweden.
Sweden, yeah. Okay, how was it though? What in terms of like studying and so forth? Because you have the American system, which is world class. It's a world class system, the American system. But also, I mean, Sweden and those countries, like they're always in the news for good stuff regarding their quality of life indexes and so forth. So, what was that like? Like,
Yeah. Honestly, when I was there, I was a little less mature too. So my experience, my experience was more, I want to say, more on the social front.
yeah, well,
But
all right.
overall, like in terms of my like understanding and perspective, like it definitely helped understanding like basically who I am, and it was cool. Like it was a very good experience for me to just meet people from like all over, because so basically how my school operates at American in DC, there are 3 different types of exchange programs you can do.
Yeah.
So you can do one that you go with a group of students from American and take classes with just them over there in that country.
Okay.
There's another one where you can go with students from all around the United States, different schools, and take classes with those students. And then there's the full-on exchange where you can just go and just take classes from people all over the world. So that was my experience in Sweden. I went by myself. I think I was like, there's one other gal from my school, but to be honest, I barely even saw her at the during the exchange
program.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll just say it was like basically just me there. Okay. And I was the only American student in that exchange program with people from like all over the world. And
really?
It was a cool experience to just being able to like collaborate and just like share cultures and just meet different people.
Okay, good. And I'm sure the Swedes were very hospitable.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. That sounds good to me. So what was next after that? After university, what did you do after that?
So after that, I've had like in university, I had a huge fascination with Detroit, actually.
Yes.
So after the economic crash of the auto industry crash, I was curious about like how the city was going to like revitalize itself. Yes. And I thought that the government hasn't really been doing like an efficient job of getting that city back on its feet. Yes. And so I went actually down there also for like circumstantial reasons. But I went down there to Detroit for a couple months to work on a service project where I was actually doing, I was like an economic development community organizer.
Yes.
And so I was there for a couple months doing work with a nonprofit through this Service Corps. But due to financial reasons, I had to leave. And so like I actually went back to DC.
Okay.
And but yeah, so after that I went to DC, and in DC I really had to just like plan out what it was I wanted to do. And that's when I really committed to being in the foreign service. So I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to get there. So I knew that one of the huge requirements, especially for like the graduate schools, which I had planned to attend in a few years, needed an extra language requirement. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So like growing up, my mom unfortunately, my mom wasn't in a place to be able to teach us Sinhala, which is one of the native languages of Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So yeah, English is my native language, and so I wanted to learn a different language. I needed to save up some money too to pay off, student loans.
Yes.
Because these American schools can be very expensive.
Yes, they can be, definitely. I mean, I think they're probably the most in the world. I think.
Man, crazy expensive.
Yes.
But so like for like practical reasons, and also for a way to like advance into my field of interest, I was like, okay, I think it makes sense to go to Japan, because they had a way to get there through teaching, and I saw that as my opportunity. And also my brother was, at the time, he was teaching in China. And so he was like, oh, you should come to China. But to be honest, I wasn't as interested in Chinese culture as I was in Japanese culture. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Japan. It's close enough by too, so.
Okay, so that's how that happened. So, what was your first impression of Japan?
My first impression of Japan?
Yeah, did something really surprise you about Japan upon arrival? Yeah,
so basically, like, I came here for one night before. So,
Oh, really?
like,
What was that? What was that?
yeah. So when I was so this is actually the last time I've been to Sri Lanka. I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And so when on my trip there, I stopped off with my mother and my brothers. We stopped off in Japan. We had a layover overnight.
Yes.
So like it was kind of funny how like I would end up being here years later. But I want to say like my impression was just that everything is so organized. Everything is organized. And just and I remember like this is something that I was reminded of from that first time that I came to, just how like the streets and just it's so very clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orderly.
Yeah, that would always leave a good impression.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you're here or you're in Japan, and what was getting settled like? I mean, I'm assuming that you didn't know much Japanese or something like that. You know, I'm assuming that. So,
yeah, man. So I actually didn't. Prior to coming, I had like I want to say like a month or two before. I was like, okay, like I need to like start learning some Japanese, so I'll be there. So I like started teach myself like just basic the basic like writing system, hiragana,
yes,
and katakana. But yeah, man, coming here, I didn't know a single bit of Japanese, and so it was an experience because I wanted something that I really like need to do is exercise. Like I'm one of those people. Like I have to do some type of physical activity. So when I got here, I was like, okay, I really want to join a gym. So I joined a kickboxing gym. And when I joined the gym, I kid you not, it took me like 3 or 4 hours to register. Because, because no one at the gym could speak English and I couldn't speak any Japanese. And we had to use Google Translate to basically relay messages back and forth to one another.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like it was just, I remember like there's a week after I had joined the gym was the anniversary party, and that day I was like the only foreigner there, and everyone was trying to like talk to me and meet me because you know I'm just new and just people, you know, like some people haven't really even met foreigners before there, and so. But I couldn't really even I couldn't even speak, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like going with the flow and just like trying to use my Google Translate and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I'll always remember the experience. But at the point, I was like, okay, I need to really learn some Japanese out here. I need to make, yeah.
So, all right, how would you have many persons who, are coming to Japan and will come to Japan. What suggestions do you have for those persons in terms of studying Japanese? Like, from your experience, what would you say is a good way to go about studying Japanese?
Oh, definitely. I think one thing that has helped has definitely been meeting with a language tutor. So I feel very fortunate in Sendai at the International Center. We have there's a service of language volunteers where you can go and get paired up with a language volunteer who can teach you maybe like once or twice a week, and usually it's free. I mean, my tutor charges me hyaku-en, but that's no biggie, you know.
How much in US dollars is that? How much in US dollars is that?
US dollars, that's like man, that's probably like maybe like around 90 cents or something like that. Right? Man, he was like, he's cool though. He was like, yeah, just pay for my coffee. I was like, yeah, no biggie, man. Like, that's like, it helps, you know. So, but yeah, so I recommend that. But I think a huge majority, especially with any language, but especially Japanese, is self-study.
Okay.
Like you have to be
motivated,
just putting in the work. Yeah, like kind of like self-motivated and just really like teach yourself. So like that's also helped. And I've been using language apps for that. Different ones that like help me with grammar and speaking patterns and as well as vocabulary. Kanji is a whole nother game, but like, I'm still working on that.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, and then I want to say also like the last thing I was going to say, what was it? Lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. You were saying kanji.
Yeah, kanji. And then there's one more thing. Throwing myself and just try to just throw yourself into environments that are like all where you're basically forced to speak Japanese. So basically with my company coming over here, I work at an Eikaiwa right now. Or they wanted to know my recommendation or requests for places that I wanted to go to. Yes. And so basically I told them that I wanted to be by nature and I wanted to be in a place where there are not as many foreigners because I wanted to learn Japanese. So that's why I didn't want to go to Tokyo. That's why I didn't want to go to Osaka. And so they were like, okay, we'll put you in Sendai.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm in Sendai. And so basically it's helped me because since I've been in Sendai, I've been really trying to just intentionally go into environments where there's not much English spoken so that I can really be forced to practice my Japanese and speak. And I think a huge part of learning is just speaking because it's like Japanese people don't really expect us to know much Japanese off the bat.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if if you're speaking and it's not even good, because I think a huge part of it is just being confident and just being able to just speak and just try. Yes. And even, it's okay if you mess up because at least you're getting the point across. Yes. And they can understand.
Yes.
And that's really helped me out. And I basically I imagine myself kind of how it is for in America for a person from another country coming over and not speaking any English, but just basically just trying to speak, whatever English that they can, but they're still able to relay the message.
Yes.
And I basically it's in reverse. It's I'm kind of living that experience now. So
after growing up and seeing that with the many foreigners that you grew up with, so now you're experiencing that for yourself. Yes.
Understood. 100%.
Understood. So let's touch on that Eikaiwa, your Eikaiwa situation a little bit. How did you make that happen? I mean, what was that process like? Because you have many persons who are in America and other places who would like to make the jump also, maybe go to Japan.
Yeah.
But how would you suggest that they go about doing this?
Yeah. So basically, what I did was I looked into getting the TEFL certification.
Oh, okay.
And so I was, at the time while I was in DC, my brother was at, it definitely helps, but you don't necessarily have to, but I thought it would be a good idea, especially a lot of these schools in Japan, they require it too.
Yes.
And so I got an online certification.
Okay. So you did yours online, maybe 150 hours, something like 160 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we do that, and then you do a practicum. So the practicum is you actually have to go volunteer. So I went and I volunteered at the Washington English Center in DC, where I was actually teaching immigrants from all over the world, honestly. But
really?
a lot of them came from Central South America.
Okay.
But and older people too, adults.
Yes.
But yeah, so I did that. I completed that, got the certification, and they opened up a huge job board. And so this job board was cool because it basically provided teaching jobs in every single country they could think
really?
Of. And and then it also says
when you complete the course, they open up a job board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after completing.
Which program is this? If you don't mind saying.
Yeah, of course. International TEFL Academy. Okay. It's based out of Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. International TEFL Academy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And so basically, I went on that job board and I was able to just look, and I was like, okay. And it also, the job board also includes how much money you're expected to make if you're planning on going abroad to save money, to pay back loans or whatever the reason. It'll list how much money you're expected to make in each country too.
Yes.
And so it was very convenient. And so I looked, I was like, okay, here's Japan. It makes sense. I looked at a couple of companies. I applied to some, and I got the job at Amity.
Okay.
Where I work right now, at Eikaiwa.
All right. Awesome. I like that. And I'm sure that will help a lot of persons. So if a friend came to you and said, they wanted to do this, what would you say to them?
I'll be like, it's quite the experience. You mean like working in Japan or working at Eikaiwa?
Working, well, I mean both. But let's go with working at the Eikaiwa first.
All right, working at the Eikaiwa.
Yeah, what's a typical? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's it's definitely an experience.
Yes,
but it's not for everyone. Okay. And I'll say, you have to really have some tough skin to work at Eikaiwa.
What's a typical day like?
Yeah, man. So the hours. So I work from like around 10:30, 11 to 8, and it's just like classes. I usually have on average between 5 to 8 classes.
Okay.
A day, with a 1 hour lunch break.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like at the job, I feel like a part-time I feel like I'm a teacher. Part-time I feel like I'm a salesperson, because it's a business. And
yes.
Part-time I feel like I'm an actor. All combined in one. And so like yeah, it's exhausting, but it's been a phenomenal experience. I would definitely recommend, if someone is planning to work at Eikaiwa,
yes.
I would basically have them. So because there are 2 routes you can go in teaching in Japan. Like you can either be an ALT or you can be a native English teacher at Eikaiwa,
yes.
essentially. And so I would basically have them write down the pros and cons of each,
yes.
and just see which one works the best for them.
Yes. So definitely do your research first, and
100%.
Do your research and see which one will fit your personality or your lifestyle that you want. Okay. And going to Japan. If someone said they wanted to go to Japan.
Yeah, like I think even being in Japan too, like I think it's a great experience. I don't think like everyone could do it though, because for example, like I talk to a lot of people and they're always asking me about Japan, and I'm like, yeah, man, you should come check it out. Like it'll be a great experience. And they're saying, no, like I don't want to work that much, or there are too many rules that would I have to follow. They're so strict about just like order and just, which is very like understandable. Like I get where they're coming from. So that's what I mean. Like it's not for everyone.
Yes.
It's a tough experience in its own way, but it's great. And it's definitely, I think it's a good place where you can learn a lot from too, and you can grow from.
Okay, but I mean, you touched on many things, but if you could pinpoint one, I'd like it. Could you tell me what has been the most challenging thing for you, like being in Japan?
Honestly, working in Japan, the most difficult part has been the micromanaging.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, I've tried, but you know, Japanese people love to just, you know, give you like an assignment and just say like, oh, can you do this? And just be on your back about it 24/7. Just and like one of those things where, like, for example, you might have a way of doing something,
yes,
but which will get the exact same outcome,
yes, but
it's just not that way of doing it,
yes.
And so like that's been the most difficult part for me, because it's not that way, it's wrong.
Yes.
And it's just yes. And that it's frustrating, you know. It's part of the experience, I guess, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, that's part of the growing process. What tips do you have for people who are really interested in traveling around Japan but might be afraid?
Tips. I would say definitely learn the language.
So learn the language.
Definitely helped me being able to just communicate and just navigate myself around. It's definitely helped. But also, just explore and just meet some Japanese friends, get recommendations, and sorry.
No, so have an open mind.
Yeah, definitely have an open mind and just try to just see different places. You know, Japan it's a small country, but it's very big in the sense that there are many things and many places that are very unlike in Japan, I think.
Okay, good.
Different. So, yeah, have an open mind
So learn the language and have an open mind.
100%. Yeah.
I like those two. Those are very good. So we're almost at the end, but before you go, please indulge me by answering some rapid fire questions, okay?
Sure.
All right. So, what do you think of when I say travel?
Travel. When I think of travel, I think of just going somewhere that forces you to be out of your comfort zone.
Okay, I like that.
Life is learning how to rebound after some upsets.
Okay, I like that. Future.
And the future is always striving to become a better version of yourself.
Wow, I like those. Those are so deep. All right, then there's one more. Instagram.
Strictly for business.
I love it. Askhari, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me.
I mean, but if people would like to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
Yes, so I'm a huge Facebook user.
Okay.
So you can reach me on my name, so ASKHARI, last name Coor, CORR, or via email.
Yes.
My email is AECORR16@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Askhari. Please take care.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you are inspired. You can find more helpful and motivational material at globalinsidersgroup.com. That is, insiders with an S. You can also keep in touch at Global Insiders on Instagram. See you next time, but remember, you can be your own superhero. Bye.